anyways. But you're one that says, look, I'm not afraid to go in the sunlight. You can test me, try me, look at me. I've done things properly. My source is God's Word. And God's Word has got a hold on me and has caused me to respond and to act and behave properly, like the name that I am, Christian, Christ-like. I've got nothing to hide. And you know what? When you have nothing to hide, you have absolute freedom. Freedom. You may say, well, what about grace? Grace is there. Shall I continue in sin that grace may abound? God forbid. Just don't use that grace. Yes, it's done. You are sealed to the day of redemption according to Ephesians 1:13. You are sealed without salvation. But the sanctification process never ends this side of heaven. We're continually growing, being renewed by our minds and changing into His likeness, into His image, so that we can be an example to the world. Thus we call ourselves Christians, Christ-like. He's saying, look, in order to be blameless, tested by the sunlight, stand, not afraid to stand in the sunlight. We have to have insight to the biblical principles of Jesus Christ. He concludes his prayers by saying this, verse 11, "Fill with the fruit of righteousness that comes through Jesus Christ to the glory and praise of God." Let me ask you this. And so this is basically the byproduct. Okay? Righteousness, right living, doing the right things. Always being led by the Spirit. The Spirit of God takes that knowledge that you have, that work and that effort that you've had to get and to dig in the Scriptures and to make them yours. That way when you need it, man, it's there and it just takes over and takes charge. So what is the fruit of righteousness? 1 John 3:18, "Dear children, let us not love in words or speeches, but in action and in truth." Love with direction, love with purpose. You want a picture? I'll give you a picture. How about this? At the end of this chapter, he writes a statement that we all quote, we sing about, we put a tattoo on our, not my arm, but some people put a tattoo on our arm like, oh, let me see his arm. Philippians 4:13. You know it. You can quote it. You see it all over the place. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. The interesting thing is that in that verse, he says, I. He didn't say we. He didn't say you guys. He didn't say us. He says, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Why? Because this prayer that he's prayed about belongs to him. And he wants it to belong to them. I can do all things. But here's the key. You know, I have